It's August the 31st. I'm Chris, and this is the future of photography.
The future of photography.
Hello, Adrian. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you. Yes, good to see you. It feels like it's been a while. No Jeremiah this week because he is off sailing the high seas somewhere, I guess.
He is off. He's off on a ship. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, just the two of us this week, and I'm not doing too badly. I've just finishing a week off work,
That's always good.
So it is good. So I'm quite high energy for a Sunday afternoon. How about you?
I've just finished a weekend of work, but very nice work, fun work. I held a photography workshop with a bunch of people here in the Viewfinder Villa. We were talking and experimenting and learning about taking pictures of people and all aspects, pretty much. Including, of course, the craft of doing it, but also the psychology of how to deal with people. How do you get someone to be themselves in front of the camera, which is not easy because, especially people who are not used to being in front of the camera.
Can be tricky.
Can be very tricky. So, and how to make someone look good.
There's that. On the getting people to be comfortable bit, I tend to, I guess, play the clown a little bit. Just to get them to focus on me being not silly, but lighthearted and energetic and stuff like that. So
silly! I am silly. If I try to get someone to play along, it really helps to make the situation not feel as serious as some people do. And building trust is important. Simple things. You have a camera that has a display on the back, so if you take a picture of someone, it always helps to show them, to involve them, and not just like dive down into the menus of a camera and not communicate. Communication is the key, and then how to make someone look good. The people don't like, I don't know, a double chin. They don't like their noses. They don't like their, I don't know, whatever. And that's all things that you can handle in certain ways to make them look better. So there's a lot of the mechanics of how people look and how to incorporate this into your photography without it being without it being too much of a big deal. You just do it, and that's what we've been practicing for an entire weekend, and it was lots of fun. Wonderful group, lots of laughter, lots of fun, lots of. Yeah,
it does sound like fun, and if you, it's good that you've got some good energy coming off of that. If you start to flag a little halfway through, I'll carry you, mate. Don't worry, I'll carry you.
I'll be fine. Yeah. I'll be fine.
I'm cool. You're a professional, right? So
absolutely.
I'm sure you will.
That's what I do.
I'm sure you will. Anyway, right. So given that you have been busy, I have given a little bit of thought to our conversation today. It's a conversation in two parts, actually, today.
Okay.
But with a link between them. So the first half of it though is inspired by actually a new book that's been published that is a high concept, I think, in terms of as in an actual proper concept for the book, as opposed to it being high fashion or high art or anything like that. And although actually one of the things that intrigued me is actually it is a work of fiction, photographic fiction. Okay, so if you would like to share the screen that I've given us.
There you go.
So now this is a collaboration between two people. One of the people, our audience will probably know the name very well indeed. The other one maybe or maybe not, depending on what you've experienced. So this is a collaboration between Nadia Lee Cohen and
who I've not
Martin
heard of.
Parr.
I
haven't heard of it. Yes. I thought that would probably be the high probability for our audience, wouldn't it? Yes. And so this is a piece of this. This book is a work of fiction. It is a photography book. It is designed to look like a 1970s photo album. And the concept that we're dealing with here is that Nadia Lee Cohen, who was a child in the 90s, she had a babysitter that she has fond memories of. And the concept here is what would be the fictional life of this babysitter outside of the world of looking after Nadia as a child, and what would what would she have grown up to be, perhaps, and what might her life would be like. Now, if you match that with the very distinctive style of Martin Parr, who listeners may know, has a very British style of photographer. Some people say, in that he captures a lot of life in a sort of down to earth way. Often
it has a documentary part to it, a documentary feel to it often.
Yeah, he does also a sense of what you might call wry humour or irony sometimes in his photographs. And so what you have here is a book that explores the life of this fictional character, and these photos are all staged. They have actors and actresses in them. They have hair and makeup and concepts applied, and it explores through the medium of a family photo album what the life of this character, who the character's name is Julie Bullard, what the life of this character would look like. So here we have a photo of mother of the house in a dressing gown hanging out the washing in the back garden while kids play in the background. There's all sorts of other things as well. So there's some shots from inside the house, and there's sort of general day-to-day life type shots, rather than they are in a Martin Parr style, of course, rather than they are high fashion or high art. So there's just lots and lots of stuff going on here, and it's designed to be a sort of reflection of life in the 90s, really, with these fictional characters. So which is astonishing in a way. Right?
I'm very intrigued. This is what an idea.
It is, and I only came across this a day or so ago, so I haven't got the book or anything like that. But it just there's links in the show notes to this, and there's interviews and things like that. Here's one which I can only imagine is a wake. The after party of a funeral. Don't know if that's a concept that travels to every country in the world, but here in the UK we often go somewhere after a funeral service, for sandwiches and a drink, essentially, I suppose to mourn and to celebrate the life of the person whose funeral you've just been to. But there's just all of these things, and as you can see from the imagery, I mean, it's very much a Martin Parr style imagery, right?
Very much, yes.
So it's if you like Parr and his work, it's a joyous thing to behold, right? It just is. So.
It's also an entire production, right? It is.
Oh, it is.
Huh?
It is very much so.
So many prompts, so many props and things that have to be. I mean, to make this believable, to make this feel right, it has to be very accurate to the time it portrays, and
absolutely.
Or does it? Do they take some artistic license to smuggle in some things that, I mean? So I just saw it was a prop guy who does movie props, and he had some behind the scenes footage from a period movie from the 1960s, and people in their 1960s clothes in the streets, been dressed up, and then there's a cut, and they have a 10-minute break, and all of them take their devices out of their pocket and look up, I don't know, Instagram and so on. So you see all these people with smartphones, and that is just wrong. That feels wrong. Did you find any of these things in there? Did they do that? I think there must be
think
Easter
so.
eggs in there. There must be.
Well, there may well be, but I haven't spotted any yet. I certainly haven't spotted any sort of inappropriate technology, as it were. So I think it's it's in a sense these shots could be from any time from the 70s onwards.
Right.
In that sense. But it's just it just looks like a fantastic project, and it really got me thinking. Really got me thinking. It's like, how is it that how is it that these concepts come about? How is it that people create these concepts?
Mm.
And
So
where does it take
Martin
us?
Parr, photographer, and Nadia Lee Cohen. Is she the one who did the concept?
Yes. So I believe the book is published by a publisher called Idea.
Because you need someone who be closer to that time. I don't think Martin Parr is the right age bracket to know. Well, maybe he does. I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, he will have photographed culture in the 1990s, but he absolutely isn't of the 90s himself,
Yes.
is he? He's a bit
That's
older
what I
than
mean.
that. So, so he wouldn't have been in his youth in the 90s. But I believe from reading interviews and things like that. By the way, I have been down a bit of a rabbit hole on this, so stop me if it gets too deep.
No, keep going. I love this.
But I believe that the concept was developed by Nadia Lee Cohen in conversation with the publishing company, and it said in one of the interviews that she's actually friends with the people that founded the publishing company. So it's come from a conversation, and so it's not so much her own idea that she then pitched. It was more sort of co-developed with the publishers, and said she is apparently a big fan of Martin Parr's photography, and it was if not intrinsic, then he was right at the top of the list, right? That he was the person she wanted to photograph this project.
So did they sort of cast him, or is he also published with that publisher? And was that
so he's a co-author, I believe, in this particular project.
But how did he get on board? Did they just give him a call? Hey, Martin, we have this project. Are you interested? Or how does this work?
I don't know. Well, so. I haven't quite got to the depth of that yet, but it's just this is the thing, right? Is it because how do you collaborate? How do you address these when you have these ideas? How do you finesse them into a fully fledged concept? How do you go about starting a project like this? But before we get to that bit, that is the sort of the second part of our conversation, which is a bit more of a sort of tips and tricks and actual sort of tangible stuff of how we get started. I have to say, I did end up sort of researching Nadia Lee Cohen quite a lot. Which actually was quite easy because very helpfully she has a website that has a huge amount of her work in it, so that you can just literally dive down the rabbit hole and browse it. So if you see what the lists of her books that she's worked on and written, of her photography work, of her artistic work, the films that she's made. So she's a photographer, an artist, a filmmaker. I believe she's also been a model, as in modeling for magazines and things like that, and for fashion brands and stuff like that. So I think there's all sorts of stuff in here. So I would strongly encourage our listeners and viewers to dive in, link in the show notes, of course, and to just explore this, because there's a whole bunch of stuff here that is just fascinating, quite frankly.
Mm-hmm.
And well worth the time to be spent, and clearly a lot of conceptual work in here. And part of the reason this appeals to me is because I'm not great at the ideas bit. Right, so I can craft. I've taught myself over the years some level of craft, right? But the innate ideas, of what a project might be and how to get it to get it started, to get it and then to take it on is something that often eludes me. So if I pick, I'm just going to pick one of the things here at random on this website, just to show, for an example. I don't know what I'm going to. Let's go for Future Beach. Oh, okay, that's interesting. So some very there's a very sort of stylized, strange looking photography montage thing there, obviously with some digital creativity in it as well, but photography based by the looks of things, assuming that
So what I find really intriguing is we have Martin Parr's photography, and it is Martin Parr photography in that project. We have the concept by Nadia Lee Cohen, and I don't exactly know how Martin Parr usually works, but I think he just discovers and then captures. I don't believe he works in that concept fashion. So he's more of as far as I know, more of a someone who browses the world and then comes across things and then puts his stamp on it with his photography. So how do you go from there to becoming to working in a concept style fashion, which is a very different kind of working, a different way of working? And does that influence? I would really love to hear both of them talk about this, to be honest.
Yeah, yes. Well, maybe I think that the book launch is very recent, I believe, and so maybe there's more interviews to come. I don't know. Maybe by the time we publish this podcast, I'll maybe have found another couple of links to put into the show notes for further reading. I'll have a look after we
absolutely.
But lots of stuff going on here, and it's just astonishing, right? It's just astonishing, how, to me anyway, how it is that these ideas come about. And I have some friends who are good at this stuff as well, who are full of ideas all the time, whose brains capture ideas as they fly through the universe, right? And are able then to develop those. For me, it requires a little bit more perspiration, than anything else. A little bit more effort to work these things through. So I kind of wish in a way Jeremiah were here, because I suspect he's quite good at ideas as well. So
I would guess so. Absolutely.
He might say, well, of course ideas just come to you, and things like that. Although he may not, but it's just it's just fascinating to me how it is that these things happen and how it is that we can go about them. So the second part of the conversation is me trying to dig into this a little bit, which I do from time to time. Sometimes it comes up naturally. Sometimes it's just something that I go searching for. And in this case, I would like to draw the attention of our listeners and viewers to a fella called Tim Rooney. Now, Tim is a YouTuber. I believe he is currently, but fairly recently, a full-time YouTuber. And prior to that, he ran, I think, a video production company for some 10 years or so, which he has now stepped away from, and to devote time fully to YouTube. Now, why is that relevant? Well, it's relevant, I guess, because his body of experience requires taking on a lot of artistic projects and concepts and turning them into reality. But it's also relevant because he is starting to share that information on YouTube, as many do. But his is one of the things that his channel is one of the ones that's caught my eye recently. He's currently in the middle of a series, I think, of 7 videos he's producing as we record this, where he is sharing things he's learned from doing these video production projects and filmmaking and things like that over the last 10 years or so. And I guess part of me looks at this from a point of view of filmmakers have got a lot to teach us photographers.
Probably,
because often their projects are far more complex in the tangible manifestation, aren't they? Obviously, often you'll need a crew, and you'll need to work things through far more so than photographers would. So I feel we might have something to learn there from filmmakers.
I think that's where Jeremiah might also benefit the discussion, because he's a photographer, but he's a filmmaker. So, yeah,
absolutely, yes. But sadly, we're just going to have to navigate this one on our own this week because Jeremiah is elsewhere. And here's where we get to the more tangible element of it. Tim Rooney has developed and shared. It's for free, by the way, and you just put in your email address and a website and things like that. He shared a thing he calls the Stuck to Start guide, which is a decision tree type of infographic type thing that fits on a single page and just helps you work through what might be the things that are sticking you, what might be stopping you from starting or completing or continuing these kind of conceptual projects that require a longer train of thought, a little bit more prep, a few more dimensions to them than just going out and shooting for the day. And I thought it'd be great if we could, just have a look at that and just, understand it a little bit. I had a look at it in preparation, for recording today, and there's a few things in it that speak to me. Maybe there's a few things in it that will speak to you as well. So if I just share the guide itself, and I will zoom in because we would like to be able to see it on the YouTube screen. And here we go.
I can make it a bit bigger.
There we are. Even better. Hopefully we can start to read that now. But the idea behind this is simply, what is it that is causing you difficulties, and what might you be able to do about that? So let's start with me, right? I will do a run through with me, and then maybe Chris, you could do a run through on some of the things that that you have trouble with when you're working about projects. So starting at the top, am I feeling motivated? Yes. I am feeling motivated. I would like to do some more creative stuff and maybe consider those projects. As you know, I've been doing a lot of shooting of video in the last couple of 3 months as a sort of part personal vlogging, part just recording family life, part just exploring and experimenting with video as opposed to photography. So am I motivated but feeling stuck? Well, stuck is a good question. I'm going to go with yes, because otherwise this whole exercise falls apart somewhat. But I guess there's a nature of stuckness, right? Isn't there? So for me, I do feel that there is a challenge, right? It's sometimes it's a fundamental challenge, right? So if you're working with video, you're going to need to spend a lot more time in front of a computer screen potentially than you would do with working with photos, because it takes a lot longer to edit video. There's a lot more material to go through. It's more time consuming, and I think there's also a lot more pre-work to do, right? You have to review everything before you can go and edit it, and you can't just flick through it like, okay, I've taken 10 photos that are very similar, on balance I like this one, right, let's apply a filter to that one to get me started on an edit. That's a process that you can really do in a few seconds. Whereas with video, if you've shot an hour's worth of video, you've got to watch quite a lot of video. You don't have to watch an hour maybe to understand what you've got. And then you've got to think about how you piece it together and stuff like that, because often you'll have multiple shots, right, that you needed to edit together rather than a single one. So am I motivated but stuck? Yeah, a little bit, because it's a bit daunting, all of that reviewing of video. So, what might I do next? Well, I tell you what, let's go through the chart here. So, do I have too many ideas? No, that's part of my problem. Are you afraid your work won't be good enough? No, because A, it'll be good enough, and B, the reason it's good enough is because I do these things for myself, not for other people. I don't tend to post them on social media or anything like that. Are you overcomplicating the next step? Probably. The next step is unclear. No, it's just unwelcome. And am I overthinking every choice? Actually, probably yes. Right? So there's definitely an element of overthinking there. So what does this tell me that I need to go? So if I'm overthinking everything, it then says, okay, go to step 4, create without pressure. So the bottom half of this chart is a series of pieces of advice of things you can just do, right? And the idea being that just prompts you to get going. So what is the recommendation here? Simplify my next steps, let go of my expectations and allow myself to experiment, creating without pressure, and create something messy on purpose. I kind of like that idea. Messy on purpose is my kind of art.
I know that feeling exactly. Yeah.
Excellent. So, do you know? And then the other bit. Am I overthinking everything? So it says if I'm overthinking, limit your decisions a bit. Pick an idea and just go for it. Good enough is right. So don't overthink the idea phase. Set a 10-minute timer and commit to that choice. Right. So just start work on something for 10 minutes and give yourself permission to do a bad first draft. Actually, do you know what? I don't have that problem. I'm naturally a person that takes multiple passes at things. I think some of this comes from my professional life where I am regularly producing work for clients, not artistic work, but the process is similar in the sense that you put a rough draft, you put a storyboard together, you put a rough draft together, you work out what the messages are going to be, what the storyline and the narrative is going to be, and then you can build whatever is the material that your client needs. And you iterate on it, through a series of passes and with feedback from others. So that bit I'm actually all right about. So it appears that what I need to do is set a 10-minute timer and let myself experiment with it and do and not worry about it being messy. There we go. There's a thought, right?
Yeah. I have a few thoughts, but okay, keep going.
Well, no, you tell me. No, that's me done. So I'm, not intending to make this, the whole thing, because of course, lots of people have these kinds of things, and it's about getting the result. It's not about the model itself. It's about what you do afterwards, right?
Yeah, I love that. Okay, this is a very structured approach to getting something going, moving, and then coming to a result. But that also requires a certain personality type, I think, which I'm not. I'm much more messy. I'm much more messy in my approach, and the spark is usually not enough. The spark is there, has to be there to get going, to start moving. But then the next steps also need to interest me. Now there will be chores in between to get to a certain next step in a creative project. So there will be those parts that are a bit more annoying than others. But you end up with I end up with if there isn't enough interest in it for me, then there's a good chance that something might turn into one of those many unfinished projects that are in boxes.
So you offer. Does that happen to you often? Do you often start something and then it goes on an indefinite pause? Because you get stuck at one of those chore stages.
Every now and then, but not. It's not a daily occurrence. But I do have a few projects that are just like stuck somewhere, and I need a new impulse. I need to get to something else, and that has to do with a lot of things. The one tool, I do also have a tool that is a bit along these lines, but that works better with me, and that is the Cult of Done Manifesto.
Okay.
Have you heard of that?
It sounds like a lot like agile software development to me, but is that where it comes from?
Maybe agile software development comes from that. It's a manifesto. The Cult of Done is by Brie Pettis and Q Stark. They came up with this, and it's pretty much a list of just it's a manifesto of things that help you get things done. And I think the main point is done is the engine of more. If you have done and finished something, then you can keep going. And it's not really necessarily about the exact way how to do it, but there are a lot of things in there that help you move forward over those humps. And for me, that works well because it is not as structured. So it's possibly just a personality thing. I don't think one is better than the other. That one is it just works for different types of brains. Possibly.
Well, and there are many different types of brains, right, and many different ways to do this sort of thing.
Yes, there are.
This appealed to me in the sense that it's got you can have it there in the background and refer to it. And
absolutely.
In itself, it prompts ideas. So would I expect to follow it, to the letter? Because no, I don't, and I don't. I would imagine that the fella that's created it probably wouldn't expect anybody to do that either.
And I do love that it's there, because I'm pretty sure there are a lot of areas where it could get you out of this stuck state. I mean, that's where it's for. That's what it's for, right? To get you out of being stuck in some places.
Yeah, definitely, and it's even just having a quick flick through it can spark something, and it's good to have a reminder that actually, do you know what? If you just put 10 minutes into something and just start, one of my issues, especially with the video side of things, is that I spend a lot of my professional life working with computers, and actually, when I'm not working, I don't want to be in front of a computer screen a lot of the time. So there's a bit of me that really wants to get better at and have more experience at video editing and working into short films. And we're talking short personal films of a few minutes, right? No, this is not something that is
the Hollywood feature film.
Of a Hollywood feature film, and it's not something that I would ever intend to publish necessarily, right? I'm not saying I wouldn't, but that's not the intent. The intent would be to make it for my own edification. But sometimes I just can't bring myself to go sit in the computer, because when you've been sitting in front of a computer for 7-8 hours in a day, if I end up working from home for a day, then to go back and spend another 2 hours in the evening is really not something I want to do. So. But maybe that's where a blend of hobbies needs to come in. Maybe a laser focus on video stuff, because I do tend to deep dive in my creative endeavors. Maybe it's not quite the right thing. Maybe what I should be doing is just saying, do you know what, I don't fancy anything particularly hectic today or to do with screens, so I'm just going to go out and shoot with a stills camera, and I don't know, maybe print a couple of Instax prints off the back of the camera or something like that. Maybe that's the way forward. Who knows? But it's good to have this,
I think it's good. I think it's good, and I think it's very, very helpful, because it has a lot of really actionable things in there. So that certainly is something that can help people to start going again when you stopped.
Yeah. Absolutely. So for anybody that's interested in this particular thing, just to see it even and have a read of it firsthand, there is a link in the show notes to the particular video of Tim Rooney where he actually talks about this, and it has a link to go sign up for it. I'm not going to put a link in the show notes to the file itself, because this is somebody else's property who's taken time to develop it, and I want to make sure he gets the credit for it, and he gets your email address when you sign up for it as well. So please do go sign up for that, and have a read.
Thank you for sharing that.
Well, so, it's you've got yours. The manifesto done. Is
no. I didn't really want to share this right now. I want to share this as a pick. Actually, it's just.
Oh, okay.
It's just somehow snuck in here.
Snuck in there. Well, that's okay. So yeah. Well, I guess I'd love to hear conversation in our Discord about people's creative approaches and things that people might be able to recommend, or be happy also to hear about the challenges that people have and how and so as a community we can help each other out or learn from how those have been overcome. So please do let's have a chat in the Discord.
Very, very well. Thank you so much. So I guess that's the place when we skip into the picks of the week and keep and talk about things. I have I changed my original pick of the week while you showed me that to the Done Manifesto, because it is very similar, but it is not quite as actionable. It's more high level. It doesn't go into too much details. What do you do if that is the case, and then what is the step if you're faced with X, Y, and Z. It's more, as I said, high level. So, Cult of Done Manifesto is just a bunch of things like banish procrastination. Just don't do it. Doesn't tell you how. That's on you to find out. But also interesting, let's go through them. There are 3 states of being: not knowing, action, and completion. That's the 3 important things. You don't know what you want to do, then you find something, you do the action, and then it's done. And it's always about getting something done. Except that everything is a draft. It helps to get it done.
I'm good at that one. That one I do naturally, definitely. Yep.
Don't think you can make it perfect, because that will just stop you from finishing it. And I've seen this with photography a lot, where I've been working on a picture and then I'm doing this and that, and especially in general with artistic projects, finding that jumping off point where you say, now it's finished. With many artistic projects, that is really hard to do. Because you could change that.
What is it? Perfection is the enemy of good, right? So
exactly
is another phrase here. So totally happy with that. Get those drafts out there. And the next one is intriguing me, that there is no editing stage.
Exactly, you just do it.
So what does that mean then? Because if you shoot video, you do need to edit the video, right? You might not need to, especially with modern cameras where you can program in the film simulations. You may choose to just shoot straight out of camera, right? But
I think I think a lot of this is open to interpretation. Definitely is. And in this case, what I interpret it as is don't fiddle too much with perfecting it, right? The next one, I love this. Pretending this is a long one. This is a bit complicated. Pretending you know what you're doing is almost the same as knowing what you're doing. So just accept that you know what you're doing, even if you don't, and do it.
Okay, that sounds like the whole of my career.
It's pretty much just wing it. It'll be all right.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like the whole of my career.
There's another one. If you wait more than a week to get an idea done, abandon it.
Yep. Okay.
Right? It's a waste of time. You're not getting something done at this point.
So do you know what that reminds me of? It's one that I do try to hold on to. Poor choice of words here, but to have strong opinions but hold them lightly. So it's okay to have a strong point of view. It's okay to have a good, strong feeling about what should be done or could be done or whatever, right? Or what's right and what's wrong.
And again, this comes always from the point of getting things done. That's the thing. The point of being done is not to finish, but to get other things done.
Okay.
It's about getting things done.
Yes. Okay. Yep.
Laugh at perfection. It's boring and keeps you from being done. Right?
Yep.
And people without dirty hands are wrong. Doing something makes you right.
I like that one a lot.
I love that. Failure counts as done. So do mistakes. You've done something.
Yes.
It might not be exactly what you want.
That speaks to the scientist in me, actually. Because and when you're doing conceptual work or proof of concept type work or technology prototyping, things like that, a negative result is still a result, right? So if you try something and it doesn't work, right, you've learned something.
And then if you have an idea, no, wait. Destruction is a variant of done.
Okay.
If you break it, yeah,
yeah,
done
it's
something.
gone. Yeah,
And
it's
then
done.
and then done is the engine of more. I think that's kind of the core that it's all about. If you're done, you can do more. But if you're not done, you're not progressing in some way.
Well, unless you go back to that one that says if you haven't done in a week, just leave it.
Right. So
done is done could be the engine of more, but like just dropping things and not doing them could be the engine of more as well. But
yeah,
I like that.
and,
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
And they wrote it, I think, within an hour. So it's not one thing that you just should take as gospel and live by. But a lot of those things really ring true with me. If I'm not doing something and finishing it, then I'm not doing other things that I could be doing.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Yes, it's interesting, isn't it? Because there's that is something that speaks to people who are outcome oriented, people who are more process oriented.
This will rub a lot of people the wrong way, for sure will. So and by the way, I just checked. They wrote that this was written in collaboration with Q Stark in 20 minutes because we only had 20 minutes to get it done. So even the manifesto works by its own rules, right?
Well, there you go. See, that reminds me of another thing, which is Parkinson's law. I don't know if you're familiar with Parkinson's law. It shortens to work expands to fill the time available for it.
Very true, yes.
But it harkens back to Parkinson. I forget his first name. Wrote an essay that was published, I think, in The Economist in the 1950s, and it was about bureaucracy, and particularly the case study was the British government bureaucracy of the day. And it's actually both hilarious and insightful and scary at the same time, but it boils down to the longer you've got, the longer it'll take, right?
I know this very well. Yes. Yes. All right, to get the show done, we have one last thing, and that's your pick. You were on a concert. Was it a concert?
Well, I don't know. I don't a show.
What was it? What was it?
So I went this week to a show called ABBA Voyage, right? Which, as far as I'm aware, you can only see in London at the moment. So ABBA, the very famous 1970s and 80s pop group, last toured in, I think, the early 80s. But you can still go see them play live, right? Which you've been able to do for the last couple of years at literally a purpose-built venue. In London. It's near the Olympic Park in London. Now, what you have here, of course, is that a band who were very famous and very influential, made some fantastic music 40 to 50 years ago. A bit more than that now. So how do you go see them play live? And the answer is that they are holographically presented. So I went with my daughter, as we're both big ABBA fans, right, to see this gig, and I will call it a gig, right? It's in a decent sized concert hall that's been made. It has a dance floor, it has seating around the edges, right, and there is a stage. And ABBA themselves, the four members of ABBA, are represented. Projected, let's say. It's not quite holography, but it is astonishingly interesting and compelling, right? And draws you in very much. Won't talk too much about the show itself because it's they prefer you not to and what have you. But the way that it's projected is that they look like they're on stage. They're the four band members, and they do costume changes and they sing, and as characters they interact with each other. I understand that they all went through the real members of ABBA all went through quite a vigorous motion capture exercise so that their computer generated selves can appear to move in a way that is that is very similar to them as real life human beings.
Are they using the actual ABBA music, or is that augmented in some way there?
No, they're using actual ABBA recordings, and so it is an official thing, if you like. It is Benny Anderson and Bjorn. What's his surname? Uvels or something like that. Sorry, I should know that. Who are the powerhouses behind this, the musical, as they were with ABBA itself as a band. And there is a live supporting band. So if you imagine a 4-piece band like ABBA would always play live with a supporting band. In this case, it's sort of I think they had 3 backing vocals, a couple of drummers, a couple of guitarists, etc., who were part of that. And that would be, if you like, their touring band. But you have these 4. Holographically projected, very much looking 3-dimensional ABBA members who are in their prime, as it were. I guess a lot of them would have been in their 30s at the time when they were when they were very famous. And it feels like a real gig. It feels live. It really draws you in. At first, you come on stage and you go, oh yeah, you start looking at the technology, and then the music and the performance draws you in. And at the end of it, people applaud the recorded speeches and things like that. It's got some jokes in it and some stuff as well, which is fantastic. So lots to enjoy there, and very much a technical tour de force for the future of photography. There you go. I found a connection to our podcast.
So what they do there, I think they're inspired by a Japanese production that has been out for years. This does the same with a fully synthetic character. Hatsune Miku is a Japanese. I've just looked it up. As a Japanese manga or anime character that's on stage, that sings, life size, holographic in air quotes, and even the singing is a Vocaloid software voice bank kind of production. So the entire music is synthetic. Of course, there's humans producing that, but the character itself has huge fan base, as far as I know. Fills stadiums with tens of thousands of people, and the main difference is that ABBA is doing it based on their real music,
on being
the real people, but of course they are synthetic in a way that they are motion captured.
They are, but do you know what though? And I don't know if this would be the same for an anime character, but the lighting of the projections is astonishing. So if you imagine that this is a permanent installation, it needs to be for the technology, but as a permanent music venue, right, it has lots and lots of lighting, and the lighting is designed and it follows the music, and there's all sorts of things going on, but the lighting moves, right? The shadows on the people, the projected recorded people, move in the right way. So when there's a light behind them, they have hair light on, and they're separated from their backgrounds. As their arms move, as they dance on the stage, the shadows on their clothes move, the shadows their hands make, and things like that. And you can tell there's something not quite right. I wouldn't go so far as to call it uncanny valley or very, very minor touch of uncanny valley. But it is just astonishing, and that soon goes. You soon stop noticing that if you're a fan, that is, because you're drawn into the music, you're drawn into the performance, and it's that good that you can lose yourself in the performance. But when you just occasionally notice, it's like somebody's hand moves, and the shadow of their arm on their costume moves as well, and stuff like that. And it's clearly all been modelled in a 3D space,
but based on the actual light choreography and so on.
The whole theatre has been modelled in a 3D space, right? And the light programming in the real world theatre is clearly the same as what's been modelled in that 3D
sync
space.
With that. Yeah, sure.
And it's synced with all the characters, which is just astonishing. It really is. It was amazing, to see it, right, and the technology involved in the production, and it was just huge fun as well. So
and the basic technology goes back several hundred years. The basic underlying technology called Pepper's Ghost. If you look that up,
but
it's amazing. It's amazing what you can do with that, especially with modern technology and 3D rendering and time codes and stuff. I'm pretty sure it's mind blowing. I would love to see that. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Anyway, how did we get from there from getting things done to anyway? It doesn't matter. This was The Future of Photography. We'll be back soon with more. You can find us at thefuturephotography.com and of course on the YouTubes and in your podcast player of choice. And we want to hear from you. Join us on our Discord. Link is in the show notes. Until next time, have a good one.
See you soon, folks. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to The Future of Photography. Join the discussion on our Discord, find the show notes and all episodes at thefutureofphotography.com, and subscribe wherever you listen to audio.